Om. 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 Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So where are we in our text?
Chapter 12, verse 11.
Chapter 12, verse 11. So we've got some people who have been away and just a little bit of the most important things that Krishna has said so far in this chapter. So it opens, Arjuna has a question, which is better, to worship the Lord as a form or to worship the Lord in his formless nature? Which is better, bhakti yoga, to love God as you understand God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength, or the path of wisdom, where I know Aham Brahmasmi, I am that ground of being, and all phenomena is unreal. Brahma Satyam Jagamithya. And Krishna says both paths are valid. Both will take you to the infinite. But this is the really cool thing. It is harder for the embodied to worship the Lord in his formless nature. For them, it is better to worship the Lord with a form. That does not mean we should take this literalistically. It does not mean, oh no, don't do the Vedanta. You stay with Bhakti Yoga. When the scripture says it is harder for the embodied, it means when we are ego identified. A personal God is as real as your ego. So if you have the deeply rooted conviction, I am a person, and I'm in this world of name and form, and I'm doing this and I'm not doing that. Hang on to the feet of the Lord. That person is the greatest of fools, who's convinced of the reality of their ego and then denies the existence of a personal God. Then all you're left with is your puny willpower, which isn't good for much. So we do not want to let philosophical inconsistency get in the way of getting some help. Now, I asked Somya to share this last week, and it's a quote from Swami Vivekananda. And he said, when his stomach hurts, his prayer is, Mother, Mother. And when his stomach doesn't hurt, I am Brahman. There is a cosmos. It's not a chaos. You don't wake up in the morning and gravity goes the other direction. Speed of light doesn't change. And it's intelligent. And the intelligence that rules it is the Lord, Ishvara, goes by many names. So all our various Ishtadevatas are ways in which we approach the infinite. Second major point, there's a refrain through this verse. These people with these qualities, they are dear to me and I am dear to them. They are dear to me. Does it mean that Krishna has favorites? No. This is incredibly important to understand. The love of God, the power of God, the mercy of God, the saving grace of God is a constant. One of the oldest names of God in the Vedas is Surya. What's Surya mean? The sun. Yeah. The sun shines on the just and the unjust. But if I go, are you okay, dear? Yeah. If I go outside with a hoodie and it's all over my head and I pull the string and everything, I feel dark. It isn't the sun. It's me. So how do I take the bag off my head, pull back the hoodie so that I can avail myself of the love, the power, the intelligence, the grace, the healing of God? Surrender. This is the path of the devotee. Getting up in the morning, starting my day. God, today I turn my will and my life over to your care. I think I've shared with you this wonderful prayer of Father Michael Judge, who's a Franciscan. God, take me where you want me to go. Let me meet who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say and keep me out of your way. Not my will, but thy will be done. And understand that you may have particular ideas about God, but if you want to really know what your theology is, our theology is revealed by the way in which we pray. And is your prayer healing classes I do? I talk about this is the prayer that many people do and never works. Oh God, please make dad give me the car. And if you do, I promise to stop smoking. First thing, oh God, please, please. Have any of you done that prayer? Yes, no? What does it say about your idea of God? You have a neurotic God. Come on, keep a beg. I just love it when you beg. Trevor, you didn't beg this morning. Tribulation. There's no such God. Do you see that? Then what do we usually want? Well, my ideas about the way the universe is run are better than God's. God may be omnipotent and omniscient, but he's obviously an underachiever. He's not doing it my way.
He's not thinking things through.
Obviously, I know better than God. So is God my errand boy? Well, prayer to manipulate other people rarely works. And what do we usually do? My prayer is usually selfish. Give me the car. I want cash and prizes. And we dress up just blatant selfishness with all sorts of delusions and denial. Oh, I'm doing this out of service for people. No, I want to make money. Nothing wrong with that, but be honest. And that's not the prayer of surrender. The best of all prayers is complete abandonment of our attachment to the fruits of action, the karma phala. Not my will, but thy will be done. Silencing the voices of raga and vesha. In the Christian tradition, we go to the prayer of Mary. The angel comes and says, guess what, girl? You're going to have a baby. And she says, behold the handmaiden of the Lord. May it be done unto me according to your will. That's the model of the prayer of surrender. Any thoughts on this? This is the heart of the path of devotion. Now, you can go to the temple or the church or the mosque and be all emotional in your love of God. Then you leave that place of worship and you're all caught up in your own self-will. God hasn't changed, but I took back my will. I want to do it my way. And you may be able to muscle your way through life. But I tell you, it's exhausting after a while. Doesn't mean we don't work, but we work out of love, we work out of expression, we work out of enjoyment, We don't work out of a sense of spiritual impoverishment. I need this in order to be happy. All right. So going on, and remember this, my surrender makes me available to God's grace. God's grace is always there. So when he says my devotee is dear to me, doesn't mean, oh, you've pleased me. It means that we make ourselves available. We invoke God's grace by our surrender. It's an incredibly important point. Any thoughts on this?
Is prayer to remove bad qualities in yourself necessarily a selfish prayer?
No, not at all, because that's the kind of stuff that gets in the way, of course. Of course. That's a wonderful prayer. It's a wonderful prayer. Why? Because I want to be of service to God and service to his holy people. If I'm a jerk, it's hard for me to be of use.
That clears it up. It just confused me because you're technically asking God to do something.
Listen carefully. Prayer doesn't change God. Prayer changes the one who's praying. Let me repeat that. Prayer does not change God. The love of God, the grace of God, the peace of God, the saving power of God is a constant. Prayer works, but prayer changes the one who's praying. Does that make sense, Trevor?
It does. Yes.
All right, going on with our scripture.
Quick question.
Yes.
In the Vedantic lens, what is the purpose of, there are a lot of prayers, like traditional prayers in Hindu thought that are like uh, lauding or talking about the features of the deities and devotional, but through a lens of like almost just like saying how great Ganpati is or how great Durga is. What is the purpose of that?
Excellent question. We want to make sure our spirituality is not from the neck up. It's not just clear understanding. It also means a heart that's open and full of love. Now, the problem in our love for things of this world is they always let us down. There's only one lover who will never let you down, and that's God. So those prayers, we direct all that love energy, that open heartedness towards the infinite. Now, in the end, if we go through a text like Narada Bhakti Sutra, the Parama Prema, the greatest love of God, is Atmaramana. But that comes in time. Now, even in Shankara, when he's extolling the qualifications of a fit student, he goes through the great four, Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Guna, Mumukshutva. Then he says, others say that bhakti alone is supreme. So he acknowledges it. Does this make sense?
I'll need to sit with it, but it answers a question.
But it's not like Durga's saying, come on.
Yeah.
worship me. Oh, I love it. Here, I'll give you some grace. More and more worship. I love it. Oh, yeah, because I'm neurotic. There's no such God. But if it opens your heart with love, then you benefit. In the end, you must love as God loves, indiscriminately.
Jim, I have a question on that.
Yes.
So it's kind of little interesting. Okay, maybe subtle is the right word. The first person, hey, give me this motorbike from dad, or give me the car. So we're asking for something for ourselves, but that's not that's selfish rooted, clear. Hey, show me the path and free me of misery. Not selfish rooted, but also for myself. But both of them eventually will let go of the second one too, right? Because that's still a
In the
desire.
end, yes. Now, let me elucidate this whole thing
Okay.
by the story of Parashurama and Dattatreya that we find in Tripura Rahasyam. So Parashurama ends up doing battle with Lord Rama and he gets his butt kicked. So he's humiliated and he's full of shame and regret and stuff like that. So he's walking along the road and he meets this sage, Samvarta. And Samvarta's very high sage and gives him the highest truth. But Parashurama's mind is too gross. He can't take it in. And Samvarta sees his doubt and he says, you go up the road and talk to my colleague Dattatreya. Do what he says. So he goes to Dattatreya, pranams, does all the things you're supposed to do. Dattatreya looks at him and says, oh my God, this guy's got a mind like a brick. So what does he do? He gives him the ritual worship of the goddess. I think it's Srividya. And that's a particular esoteric practice of worshiping the mother. And Parashurama does that for 12 years. And when he's engaged in worship, oh, he's weeping for his love of the mother. He's just blissing out. But of course, he ceases worship. He, he finds no completion with it. And his mind starts to turn inward more. And then he said, I wonder what Samvarta meant by that stuff. He goes back to Dattatreya, and Dattatreya says, now he's ready. So in the end, it's not either or, it's first, then. Just like we did with karma yoga. These are all methods for purifying the head and the heart. And it is an appropriately selfish prayer to want to desire liberation, to want to be one with God, to want to be freed from our character defects. That's a good kind of selfishness, which is very different than wanting drugs, sex, and rock and roll. You desire something real, which is the infinite, not something finite, changeable. Does that help, Atik?
Yeah, very clear, Jim. Thank you.
And we have to engage our hearts. That's part of the process. Till we become love itself. All right, scripture.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुम् मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यदात्मवान्. If you are unable to do even this, then taking refuge in me, self-controlled, renounce the fruits of all action.
So in these prior ones, he's given us a series of practices to practice the way of devotion. And if you're not able to do this, try this. If you're not able to do that, try this next one. Now he steps it down. If you can just act in the world, renouncing your attachment to the fruits, even that does a whole lot to free us. I really want to be successful. I really want this, that, and the other thing. I'm not yet ready to give it up, but at least I can give the fruits to God. The karma pala. All right, next one.
Shreyo hi jnanamabhyasa ajnanad dhyānam vishishyate dhyanat karma phalatyaga astyaga chantirantaram. Knowledge is indeed better than practice. Meditation is better than knowledge. Renunciation of the fruits of actions is better than meditation. Peace immediately follows renunciation.
Yes. So here he's giving us the sequence of practices for a yogi. So the first idea, knowledge is better than practice.
Mhm.
Practice here means doing various rituals, doing various asana, pranayama, puja, stuff like that. If you do it just because this is what you do, okay, but you want to do it because you've been informed of its value. It's a way to open the heart. It's a way to understand methods of vasana purgation. So better than knowledge is meditation, I think is the next one.
Meditation is better than knowledge.
Yes. So you have some understanding, you've read some scripture, becomes satsang, but do you meditate?
Then renunciation.
Wait. If you do not have a regular meditation practice, the fruits of this work will be minimal at best. You should meditate a minimum of 20 minutes a day. You can do 30, 40 an hour, you're doing very well. If you can commit to a meditation retreat, knock yourself out. Better than just our book learning is meditation.
Jim?
Yes.
So it's the intention here, is it around like we can, read books all day, but to get the, what is it, the direct experience we talk about? That's what the meditation is for?
Meditation is the next stage. After you won't get self-realization watching YouTube videos. It ain't gonna happen. But if they inspire you to meditate, that's good.
Thank you.
And there are people, oh, I'm going to go to this satsang and I'm going to go see this guru. And then I've read this book. And then, oh, I've got to that book and yada, yada, yada. Wonderful, wonderful if it inspires you. But you have to have a meditation practice. Better than meditation. What's the next idea?
Renunciation of the fruits of actions is better than meditation.
Yes. The fruit of meditation is manifold, but one of the most basic. It's the unloading of the unconscious. And if you are like on a retreat and you meditate regularly, you will see the impermanence of all mental phenomena. Nothing is permanent. And in time, you will find a deep peace that isn't caused by getting anything. It's caused by deep sannyas, renunciation. I talk about what I call the cosmic teeter-totter. The more attached I am, the more egoistic I am, the less my serenity, the less my peace. The more I let go, the more serenity, the more peace. You and I want to go. Doesn't work. Or whichever way you want to do it. I cannot hold on to my attachment to the world and have peace. That does not mean giving up work. The work is not problematic. The world is not problematic. It is attachment that's problematic. All right. That's the last idea, isn't it? Is there one more in that verse?
If peace immediately follows renunciation.
Yes. Peace follows renunciation. When struggle ceases. Next verse.
It's two together.
Okay.
Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukhakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma dridha nishchaya mayarpita pano buddhir yo mat bhakta same priya. He who hates no creature, who is friendly and compassionate to all, who is free from attachment and egoism, balanced in pleasure and pain, and forgiving, ever content, steady in meditation, self controlled, possessed by firm conviction, with mind and intellect dedicated to me. He, my devotee, is dear to me.
So this starts this section where he says what people are dear to him. This doesn't mean that Krishna has favorites. It means if we do these things, we invoke God's grace. Things start to work. We avail ourselves of a power that's greater than my stupid little ego. We start riding the horse in the direction it's going. we quit trying to push the river of life downstream. So let's go through these practices. These are not new ideas. Krishna has extolled these practices in earlier verses, but he does it again in this chapter. So the first idea,
He who hates no creature.
yes. So the yogi cannot live a life that's filled with animus, hatred, anger, revenge, resentment. Now, this is especially important in our current political environment. Many people are trying to get the other side. They want to conquer their enemies. But a yogi needs to work on understanding other people, having compassion for them. Now, let me give you an exercise that will help with this. Think of a person who's done something that's aggravated you. It can be someone in the national political sphere or international, but even someone in your personal life, you know, a colleague, a boss, a neighbor. Do you have that person in mind? Have you ever done anything like what that person has done? If we're honest, probably. There's an old spiritual slogan, you spot it, you got it. Chances are, if I'm judging or condemning or hating someone else, it's my own shadow. I have that klesha, that character defect. And if I'm honest with myself, well, why did I behave that way? Chances are you were hurt or frightened. Oh, we all know what it's like to be hurt or frightened. Now you know why the supposed jerk did what they did, or the horrible politician is doing what they're doing, or the damn boss who's so awful. So this helps us move from otherizing the other person. You want to see that, oh, gee, this is part of the human condition in which I participate too. Doesn't mean we have to like what they did, and it doesn't mean they're right and I'm wrong. It means we come to a place where we have some understanding, some compassion. Compathos means to feel with the other person. They can absolutely transform relationships. And it's the doorway to forgiveness in the end. Anger, resentment, hate. There's an old adage. These are poisons we brew for another and drink ourselves. So the yogi must be free from a life of resentment, of anger, of rage, and the need for redress or revenge. We saw that they are like ourselves. People with the same hurt and fear. I can understand. Any thoughts on this? All right, next idea.
He who hates no creature.
Yes. Same idea. Same idea. What wasn't that the first one?
Yeah. Did he do
We just did it, yeah. The next one.
friendly and compassionate to all?
Yes. So you start by saying the words. You start by doing the action. But I don't feel it, Jim. It's interesting. The 12-step groups say we act our way into right thinking. The New Agey metaphysical groups say we think our way into right action. Yoga says, yes, we do. Act in a way that's kind and forgiving and generous. The Master Jesus said it very clearly, return good for evil. Someone smacks you in the face, turn the other cheek. Someone takes your coat, give them your cloak. If the Roman soldier says, carry my pack for a mile, carry it for 2. Return good for evil. Next idea.
Who is free from attachment and egoism?
Yes. So the Krishna earlier has said, no one is more fearful than a wealthy man because they're always worried about losing their money. There are stories about Swami Tapovanam wandering in the Himalayas and coming upon a group of robbers, wanted to rob him. Take everything, my begging bowl, that's fine. I have nothing. Didn't even wear shoes. By the way, do you have anything to eat? He sat down with them, made friends with the robbers. The idea here is if inside you are a sannyasi and you don't have any fear of losing stuff. So the first one who's not attached, and what was the other part of it?
Who is free from attachment and egoism?
Yeah, I-ness and minus. Can you be outside of the need to be the important person in a crowd? Now listen very carefully. Low self-esteem is pride in reverse. It's another form of ego. It's the mind still being concerned with how am I doing? Am I okay? What do they think of me? I me mine, I me mine, I me mine. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. True humility is thinking of yourself less. How do I do that? Others center the attentive faculty. Serve the situation that you're in. Be useful. Be of service. Think of the well-being of someone else. Take an interest in others. Next idea.
Balanced in pleasure and pain.
Yes. So life is a big sine wave, in my opinion. You get the good stuff, you get the crappy stuff, you get the good stuff, you get the crappy stuff. It just goes up and down and up and down. We see it everywhere. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. Seasons come and go. It's always movement. So whatever circumstance that you're in, be it pleasurable or painful, it will pass. You and I don't need to make it pass. Promise you it will. Because everything in this universe is impermanent. The yogi endeavors, or the devotee, the premi, rests her heart in something outside of this world. And I've shared this with you before, one of my favorite sayings of St. Augustine of Hippo. Lord, thou hast made us for thyself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it finds its rest in thee. There's no rest in this world. Do your duty, work, have fun, be of service, but let go, let go, let go. And instead, yoke your heart and mind to the infinite. Next idea.
Forgiving.
Yeah. Again, forgiveness is about our well-being, our peace of mind. I can remember several years ago, there was this young man who went into, I think it might have been Ebenezer Baptist Church, but
It was in Alabama.
yeah,
You're talking about.
and it was a black church, and he was white, and they invited him in to pray with them, and he seemed to do that. Last name was Roof. Can't remember his first name. And when they were finished praying, he pulls out a gun and shoots them all except one girl, because he wanted her to tell everybody what happened. And they arrested him, and they had the trial, and the wife and mother of two of the people who had been killed was just in tears at the what do they call that? The victim impact statements they make during sentencing. And she just in tears says, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. Because she knew that if she held on to that, it would eat her alive. What was the name of the young man who spoke on all the college campuses?
Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk. And at his memorial, his wife got up and talked about forgiving the person who shot her husband. That's modeling really good spirituality. It's not easy. It's not easy. Part of what will help, exercise I've given people who've come from families that are like abusive and stuff like that, and they can't forgive the abusive parent. and I've given them the exercise. Write that person's story. What do you think their childhood was like? What did they go through to, as an adult, having ended up so twisted and such pain that they did such harm to you and maybe other children? The value is we get a little compassion for the suffering of others, which loosens our hearts. That's the point. Next idea?
Ever content.
Yeah. So that doesn't mean we don't endeavor to work hard to have some nice things in our life. That's okay. But, some people live in constant, what's the word I would want? Jealousy and envy at the good fortune of others. Here's another wonderful slogan: to compare is to despair. So the yogi endeavors to be content with the blessing that they have without the need to be envious or jealous of others or constantly wanting it to be better. Bigger house, faster car, more sex. Next idea.
Studying meditation.
Yes. Back to what I said earlier. If you're serious about the spiritual life, you need to have a regular meditative practice. Sometimes it will be good, and a lot of the times it'll be dry. That's part of the journey. That's why we call it a practice. We don't meditate when we're inspired. Inspiration will fall short. You have to make it a practice. Something I do every day. Next idea.
Self-controlled.
Yes. So we need to begin to silence the indulgent tendency of the mind. So many people, not so much in this group, but some of the new agey people, oh, I'm spiritual, I just go with the flow. And what they're really doing is they're completely at the tyranny of the inner 2-year-old. The inner 2-year-old is the one that goes, I don't want to eat my broccoli. I want ice cream. And that is not freedom. That's the person who has no ability to act contrary to the indulgent tendency of the mind. They're absolutely ruled by it. That's not freedom at all. That's tyranny. Earlier, Krishna called it attaining to yoga arudha, mounting the steed of the mind. We have to get beyond the indulgent tendencies of the mind. Just because I have an impulse doesn't mean I need to act on it. Just because I have a judgment doesn't mean I have to say anything. Any thoughts on this?
How do we best control our negative impulses?
First thing to do, don't act on it.
Hmm.
And if you act on it, immediately apologize and make it right.
But are there any techniques that that are helpful towards, like, if you feel the urge to say, like, I don't know, drink Like any like way to let that to deal with that urge.
Understand that nothing is permanent, no matter how powerful the urge. If you just wait, it will pass. It really will.
Without willpower, though.
Turn your mind to something else. Ask God to help you. It's not easy. Anybody who's done any habit correction, quitting smoking, stopping drinking, giving up sugar, then there are the subtle ones, which are just as damaging. Who here has friends, maybe you've been involved with this, who are gossips, who do character assassination? Oh, I'm just trying to get people to understand about this person. No, it's trash talk. It's very corrosive. It's always helpful to work on these things. And nothing else out of compassion for the rest of us. Is that helpful, Trevor?
It is. Mm.
There's no magic bullet for habit correction. This may be helpful when I have had a compulsion, a craving. I say to myself, I don't really want X, Y, or Z. What I want is you, Lord. And I use that as a way to tune my mind to the end. That's what I have found useful. All right, next idea.
Possessed of firm conviction.
Yes. So we have to believe and be steadfast on the spiritual path. After a while, the benefits begin to show up long before self-realization dawns on the mind. It's just a really rewarding way to live. You know, it's not about crisis management. It's a deep way of life. And it's not about, well, look at what a renunciate I am. I suffer so much because eventually I'll be realized. No, that's not the way you want to do it. To understand that living a life according to the Dharma maximizes the joy in this life. So we want to have faith in it. In Vivekachudamani, Shankara says, who can argue for the scriptures and refute arguments against them. This is not something you do at a cocktail party. This is not about flaming non-dualists on Facebook. Where does the argument take place? In my mind, nuts to the spiritual life. I'm just going to go out and be a pig. Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. That's where it's at. You can do that. Lord is always waiting. Sometimes doing that and seeing the result, the suffering that it entails, it's a big wake up. It brings us back. The steadfastness on the path. Because we're convinced in its value. Next idea.
With mind and intellect dedicated to me.
Yeah. So this practice of the presence of God, thinking of God, loving God, doing everything for God. Throughout the day, how frequently can you turn your mind to God? Next one.
Sorry.
The next one.
He, my devotee, is dear to.
Yes. So this doesn't mean Krishna gets pleased. It means if I live my life according to this, then I avail myself of God's grace. Just like if the windshield in your car is dirty, it's not that you clean the windshield and then the roadway is pleased. No, if you clean the windshield, then you can see clearly through it. If we practice what he's put forward in these two shlokas, mind becomes more sattvic and grace becomes more available.
Jim.
Go ahead.
So this is essentially the essence of the teaching of bhakti yoga. Like, did it talk about all this, or this is like you go do bhakti yoga and this will just be the fruit, or is it both?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was talking with a person and he fessed up that he really had kind of given up meditation. He hadn't lost his understanding of the self, but his mind was getting kind of crinkly and crunchy. You could feel it. And you might try doing a little more meditation, practice some renunciation, tune up the mind. All right. Is that the two verses?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one.
Quick question.
Yes.
You talked about earlier, like the freedom from attachment and the renunciation. Um, in the case of like a rich man will always have anxiety, right? Or
Well, yes and no. King Janaka didn't.
I suppose my question is around if if wealth management is a part of your dharma, you're a father, and part of your job is to take care of your family and provide for them, make sure that they have an okay future. How do you be a renunciant in that case, sannyasin in that case?
You've got to be very clear that everything you do to the best of your ability may screw up. You talk to the Warren Buffetts and the people like that. They've made and lost fortunes. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm not certain. Perhaps this is just something to learn from living, but how you can do that without having fear.
Well, you're going to be taken care of, and so your kids.
Huh.
You have to work pretty hard in this country to end up homeless and on the streets. You got to make a whole lot of really poor decisions. Some of them are systemic.
Okay.
But people recover from business loss. I have a very dear friend, and he was in real estate, and he was pretty heavily leveraged with several properties in 2008. And he lost it all. But he has a lot of trust for God. Now, he's made a significant amount of money back since then. He declared bankruptcy in 2008 or 9. He's not living in a beautiful 3-story house up in Piedmont. He's living out at Rossmore. But, he takes 2 or 3 cruises a year and, he lives a good life, even though he lost everything. But it's our minds that are problematic. Here's a true story. So my grandmother, my father's mother, was a twin. And they were very, very wealthy. And Gagi is what we called her. Her sister married a fellow who was in the stock market. And he took his wife's money and invested it in the stock market and lost it all with the crash of 29. He jumped out of a window of a skyscraper and killed himself. Not making this up. I have a relative who did this because of shame, because of fear. Did he make some poor decisions? Sometimes we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what his investments were. My grandfather went from vulgar wealth to pretty well off in the crash of 29, but he was a lawyer. He had a good living, you know. But if you're a steward, you do your best. But it doesn't mean to live a life unwilling to take risks. Sometimes we need to take risks. Is this useful?
Very.
But you can be a person who doesn't have a lot of money and still have a life that's full of fear. And what's interesting, if you have a mind that's full of fear, frequently it will cause you to make financial decisions that aren't very wise. Or someone who's a miser, they die with a huge fortune and their house is full of clutter and they have no quality of life. We can talk more about it. But, what was King Janaka's process? So he was at a party, he got drunk. He goes out on the veranda, and these celestial sages teach him the knowledge. He goes into samadhi for a muhurta, 48 minutes. He comes out, why should I bother with all this worldly stuff? It's all nothing. I'll leave it all behind. And then he has the thought, and what's that going to change? The idea is to be detached, which is different than running away. So he goes back in and, he stayed being a king. Stayed being a king, but known as a great sage. That's all your prarabdha karma. I think of Nisargadatta Maharaj. Now, he wasn't a wealthy man. He was very low caste. His father was a servant and then went and bought a farm. So he was raised on a farm. Nisargadatta Maharaj ended up running a cigarette shop, a beedi shop in Mumbai and lived above it. And then, he had his deep, deep realization. And during this period, he decided to leave his family and head to the Himalayas. And he gets to the Himalayas and it's just different. It's not better. He comes back and does his duty. He took care of his family, lived above the cigarette shop. But if you worry about money and worry about taking care of your kids, worry about having enough for a rainy day, etc., 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 there's prudence and then there's worry. They're not the same thing. There's another Sufi statement I always say, trust God and tether your camel. The other one is trust God, but soak your beans the night before. So, you do act with prudence in the world. All right, this is a good place to stop. Any other questions about what we've covered? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om